Yeah, we're in Montreal, and it's my first movie in Montreal at home in 12 years.
So where we're going, Claude?
Well, we're coming to a point when Jean arrives to Genosha. She's gonna come here, have this vantage point of view.
Simon Kinberg really wanted to approach this in a very, very different way, and he's very clear about what he wanted.
I said to Claude, I want to create this world physically. I don't want to do green screen and set extensions and fake it. I want the actors to be able to feel it in a tactile way, and I think the audience will also feel it in a more tactile, immediate, real way.
Claude was amazing, as was Michel Liberté. We put them in a terrible position because we concoct these wildly ambitious stories, and then there's the practical reality of how we're going to actually manifest them. And we had a lot of different environments.
Simon has a really good eye, so he's very aware of what things should look like.
Each of the films that I feel like we've worked on are different from one another. You know, they all have a sort of subgenre within them. Logan was a Western. Deadpool was a zany comedy. The second Deadpool movie was a father-son dramedy. Days of Future Past was a time travel movie. X-Men First Class was a spy movie. Apocalypse was a disaster movie. Dark Phoenix was a character-driven psychological thriller.
We do this now, here. They'll see us as monsters, violent freaks fighting on the streets of New York.
The girl dies.
We wanted to have a palette that was not so colorful or fireworkish as the previous one were. So I started picking some colors, and I had some big cards painted of each color in my office. And I brought Danielle Orlandi, the costume designer.
There are no superhero costumes per se. People are wearing normal clothes that they would have bought. And even if we made them and designed them, they should just look like they bought them. We wanted it all to be more organic and feel more real.
Why are you here?
We are in Genosha, which is a country unto its own, basically, that's been given to mutants who don't have anywhere else to go. It's a sort of refuge for lost mutants.
This land was provided by your government for the shelter of mutants who couldn't find it anywhere else. We have the same rights as you and your families.
It was exciting to get to create Genosha. It's one of the great settings of the X-Men comics, and that deserved cinematic treatment.
Simon and I really decided that we would do something that's different from the rest of the palette of the movie, making it a happier place to live, so we went with bright pastel colors.
In the comic, it's a very sort of science fiction, futuristic place. And I didn't want it to feel that way because we're making a more grounded, real movie. And I also didn't want it to feel like a refugee camp. So we had to find this place in the middle that made sense, that Eric would have picked up metal containers because it's an island from wherever.
We have these painted cargo boxes stacked onto each other that all of these mutants inhabit and have this family and this camaraderie and inclusiveness, where we have a safe haven and a place where we can call home.
As you can see, all of it is metal made because Eric can control all the metal. So there's many elements that we're placing as we're going, and there's also a pond there with a beach where kids will play and so on.
They're farming it, they're living there by choice, and they're living with less, and they're rejecting what society basically is, and they're trying to make their own little commune.
We brought these containers from scrapyard, and we literally cut into them, making windows, doorways, and so on. And then we started painting them various colors, and we had one of our artists in the scenic department to actually paint some nice drawings that would have been made either by the children or by the adults to augment the happiness of the look of it.
And then we talked also about the flowers and the plants, and we had not just a greens department there, but we had greenhouses here that were building, cultivating real plants, real flowers, real vegetables, that we would then transport those gardens on the days of photography out there.
They're living off the grid, they're farming, they're fishing, they're raising their kids. Their clothes are very simple, t-shirts and pants or a skirt and aprons because they're working. For Eric, our inspiration was Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now in a simple t-shirt and a pair of pants. So he's very dark, but really simple.
And also, there's Eric's house, which given it's an island, he just recouped some ship parts, you know? So the exterior is the whole bow of a ship that he's put upright, and that's planted there. So we took a ship part, like the bow of a big ship, and we planted it here. And it's as metal, but it's all wood. And all the joints and the welds and the steel plating of the walls was made on wood. And I've made these white marks there that you see, which are vertical right now. But if you put the ship down, those would be like phosphate or whatever trash remains that the water would have brought in the ship.
It was very much alive, and it was very much driven by Simon's vision of it.
You need to leave.
Go!
We are in Jean's neighborhood. This is the street where she was raised. It's Annandale, New York. And we built this on the back lot of Mel's. And it's roughly taken 4 months to do it all.
One of my favorite sets in this movie is Jean's neighborhood. Nobody will believe that it was not a real neighborhood because of the level of detail.
Right now, we are in Jean's neighborhood, and basically this is the scene where all of the X-Men kind of come to find Jean after she's run away from the mansion. You shouldn't have come here.
Why is that? We've only come to bring you home.
We started with a field of gravel. We created a neighborhood that is very low middle class. And I wanted to have a bridge in there to show people drive by, they don't stop there. Like it's a message that, oh, you don't want to go there.
Each of the different houses had a different identity for the different people that lived in it. So you had the guy who was the fisherman, you had the guy who was the truck driver. You had really, really detailed ideas about who these characters were and what their front lawns would look like and what kind of toys or trash or whatever would be in the front and the back and the side of their houses.
All the houses were pre-built in the shop and we assembled them on site. We poured the asphalt road and everything. Also, the Greens department did an amazing job in that street, building all the front lawns and aging it.
Jean's neighborhood, it's remarkable that we could build the entire neighborhood and have that as a space to use and to destroy as potentially needed.
In this kind of movie, the aftermath is as extensive as building the set itself. So you have to really understand that when you build something, you have to build the aftermath at the same time so that everything will match. And this is what we've done today. We've done the explosion, and now we've completed the aftermath, which will be shot tomorrow. There's lots of planning, and sometimes you have to make the aftermath and then reconstruct to shoot like it was originally built for.
Can I talk about spots?
Oh yeah, you can talk about everything.
Can I talk about the space? Okay.
Yeah, you can talk about everything.
The X-Men go to space, and it's the most exciting thing.
I think this is not as much fun as I thought it would be.
Hank has built a new jet. Pretty much in most of the movies, at some point, the jet and Cerebro get destroyed. So I guess in between movies, he's just building them up again. It's a lot of tiling, it's a lot of work to build, supersonic jets that then can go to space when Charles needs.
I know what you're thinking.
That's my trick.
The answer is no. The jet can't get that high.
Even with the new booster rockets and all your modifications.
We had like 3 months to build it and draw it. So it was a little bit of a fast-track project, but it's really stimulating.
We were allowed to go a little bit more into the realm of modernity and design that has progressed over the time.
The jet was a fun creation to do. Claude came up with a couple of references of textures he liked and images he liked of existing jets and just plain metallic finishes.
All the chairs in the X-Jet are moving, so when we actually go into the X-Jet, they're all facing each other, but then the X-Jet actually gets in movement. All the chairs move to face the windshield, and there's even one chair that slides sideways and goes down into the gunnery bay.
They're basically bicycle seats on sliders, which were technically really difficult to use sometimes. And when you're shooting really emotional stuff inside the X-Jet, it was challenging, but it was also really fun.
Xavier's wheelchair was a challenge in itself because it has a long history. And we also decided that because the X-Jet was such an important element in this film, that it would be interesting that Hank, who created all the X stuff, had created the jet, had created the chair, and it would blend together.
The chair, I wanted to give it a very modern tone like Hank's lab.
We were looking for something a little lighter. We had managed on Apocalypse to bring it down quite a bit, but it had a very precise look in Apocalypse, and it wasn't really what Simon or Claude were looking for. So we went back to what a wheelchair is.
I wanted to have this little X that would be subtly lit, so that when it moves, it lights on, or it's lit all the time, depending on the purpose that we had.
It's fun now because he can actually come in the jet, and when you look from the back of the jet, all the backs of the chairs are the same, and the wheelchair is part of that.
Go up this way?
Yeah. We are on the set for Fifth Avenue, New York.
3, 2, 1, action.
Just period, this is one of the coolest, if not the coolest, sets I've seen built. As a first-time director, it gives me goosebumps to walk in here and feel like this is a set that, you know, I get to shoot.
Fifth Avenue set was a giant undertaking.
Obviously, we could never shut down Fifth Avenue for 10 nights or however long it would have taken us. But we could have done green screen and used plates of Fifth Avenue, and instead, Claude actually created a couple city blocks of Fifth Avenue in New York City.
So this is Fifth Avenue in New York. Amazing, right? And yet we're in Montreal. It's, you know, unbelievable.
The detail is so incredible, down to the cracks in the pavement, down to all of the littlest, smallest things.
It was really driven by the action and what it needed to be, like from A to B, and like a leapfrog kind of thing, like going across the cars and to the target of the embassy.
Hold them!
When Eric goes and sees Gene in the consulate house, he actually flies in the house. This gigantic building has to be with fake ceilings so that we could actually have all the trusses with the traveler tracks and the cables organized within a system that can be manipulated by stunts. It requires lots of thinking, and that's when the models come handy. You know, it's not only for gripping or lighting, it's for stunting as well. We ended up with something that's really decent and that everybody likes, and it's very shooting friendly.